This is PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Mannarino.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Daily. It is Friday, TGIF. It is July 11th. What a week it has been, okay? Every week in politics feels like a marathon. And today we're focused in on the race for mayor. And as you may have been following along this week, each and every day was a different story, right? There was a new poll that came out that showed Zohran Mamdani far and away the leader, followed by Andrew Cuomo, followed by Curtis Sliwa, the Republican nominee, and then Eric Adams, the current mayor, in fourth place, followed by Jim Walden in fifth place. With that news came the former governor of New York, David Paterson, saying, hey, you all need to figure this out and coalesce around one person to face off against Zohran Mamdani. None of them say they are dropping out. I spoke to Curtis Sliwa one-on-one. There were these rumors that President Trump may have been involved, trying to tell him to drop out of the race, whether or not he would do that. So I spoke to him one-on-one about that. It was a very wide-ranging conversation. Here's part of it. Mr. Sliwa, we were talking about public safety, right? So besides the fact that you need more cops, the issue that I hear about from people is mental health and whether or not police officers should be removing people from the subway and who should be handling that. How would you go about this?
Well, first off, I'm the only candidate who actually rides the subways every day, and there is lots of documentary evidence of I and the Guardian Angels caring for the homeless and the emotionally disturbed. They need to be removed and put in mental health care hospitals. Remember, Cuomo closed so many of them that normally would have housed them and given them care. And we have plenty of shelters, but most of them are run poorly, they're unsafe, and that's why a lot of the homeless people will not stay overnight, because it's very Darwinian, survival of the fittest. So we got to shape up these shelters that we have. And if we make them safe, a lot of these homeless people would stay in a shelter rather than ride the subways.
But if you had to go into the subway to remove someone, urge them to go to that shelter, whose job is it?
Well, remember, that has to be the police job, because they haven't. I mean, we had Bill de Blasio, who had Thrive, spent $1.5 billion over 5 years and put his wife, Charlene, in charge. How many emotionally disturbed people did they help? None. The whole idea was to have social workers with cops, right? What happened to that? Eric Adams said the same thing. What happened to that? No. At this point, we have to utilize the police, and we will be sued. Mm-hmm. We will be in court. Civil liberties, legal aid, Coalition for the Homeless. And I will tell the 1,000 lawyers at Corporation Counsel, we fight, we fight, we fight. We'll win some, we'll lose some. But we're going to do the right thing.
You know, a lot of people are talking about how they need federal dollars to accomplish a lot of what they want to do. And that involves a relationship with President Trump. What is your relationship with President Trump? Would you stand up to him if you didn't like something he was doing, even if it meant you wouldn't get federal dollars?
Well, ever since I and Donald Trump came on the scene in New York, I mean, we're consummate New Yorkers, I've had a love-hate relationship with him. He did not endorse me when I ran in 2021, although he did not endorse Eric Adams. But now he has his puppet, Eric Adams. He's got it by the short hairs. He kept Eric Adams out of jail, or Eric Adams would have been a cellmate with Bobby Menendez. And right now, Eric Adams will do whatever the president says. There are some issues you have to stand up to the president.
Like?
Look, this big, beautiful bill is going to hurt New York City. He's going to cut federal funds. In some areas he should, because of the bloated budget. But you have to be able to stand up, because as mayor, I will represent all the people.
What's an area that you think will hurt New Yorkers in that bill?
Oh, public housing, NYCHA. And Cuomo should know this. He was the head of HUD under Bill Clinton. You can't be a tough guy with Donald Trump, because what happens if he cuts the NYCHA budget? 90% of the money's come from the federal government. So you got to sit down. You have to find out, Mr. President or whatever secretary is in charge, what is the purpose of all this? How can we work cooperatively? Eric Adams would say, Mr. President, and Trump would say, jump, Eric. And Eric would say, how high, Mr. President? He can't operate. He can't do anything now, Trump. He can't offend Hochul. Tisch now tells him what she won't do as police commissioner. This whole mask thing, he wanted people arrested for wearing masks in demonstration. Tisch, the police commissioner, said, no, Eric Adams. He's become impotent. He is mayor in name only.
Yeah, and my last question, you just brought up Hochul, which is, what is your relationship with Governor Hochul? You'd have to work with her very closely. Should she get a second term?
No. I'm doing everything I can, whether it is Elise Stefanik, who's endorsed me, or Mike Lawler, who's endorsed me, or maybe it's Bruce, the Nassau County executive, who gets the nomination. But you have to work with the governor. Who do you think she's going to work better with, Curtis Sliwa or Andrew Cuomo? who has vilified her, and also Tish James. I think it's more likely they'll work together with me, Tish James, and Hochul than they would the one that
A
they
Republican and
vilified,
Democrat
Andrew
working
Cuomo.
together?
Well, you have to. Look at the city council. Look at the state legislature. They're all Democrats, and they're the shot callers. You have to go into their districts. You got to meet with them and their constituents. They're going to yell. They're going to scream. They're going to give you grief. And then you talk the language that every elected official knows, discretionary funds, which the mayor controls. How can I help you look good to your constituents? And this is where I need your help on this particular bill. You win some, you lose some. But you go into their districts. You don't meet at City Hall. The only way you get Eric Adams into their district is if they open up a new club and then he wants to party to the break of dawn. He's the swagger man with no plan.
All right, we'll leave it there. Mr. Sliwa, great to have you here.
Pleasure.
And our thanks to Curtis Sliwa. You can find out more of that interview on PIX11.com, and also we're airing the full interview on PIX on Politics Friday night at 6:30, Sunday morning at 7:30. And by the way, we have Jim Walden, the independent, who is in last place in that poll. He's coming on PIX on Politics next week, so stay tuned for that, followed by Zoran Mamdani. Still waiting for Andrew Cuomo. All right, coming up next, everybody, after a short break, we're going to talk about early childhood education in New Jersey and one state senator who has been working nearly a decade to get this problem fixed for you. We'll have that coming up. And welcome back to PIX on Politics Daily, everybody. And you know, there's so much around early education that we've been focusing on and talking about, specifically within budgets, because it is budget season, right? We were talking about it within the New York City budget, how they were going to raise the money to make early education, childhood care cheaper. Same thing happening over in New Jersey. It's such a focus and it's such a burden for so many parents, right? Just the cost of that early child care. So let's bring in State Senator Teresa Ruiz right now to talk more about some bills that not only did she support, but got passed and signed into legislation. So State Senator, great to have you here.
Good morning, how are you?
Doing well, you know, and so let's talk about the bills in particular. And you've been working on this for a long time now, right? And it is really music to so many parents' ears when it comes to affordability and early access to childcare. So tell us about some of the bills. I know there's a lot that's packed into these.
So I just want to rewind a little bit. The interesting thing that my commitment to universal preschool started in 2015, and I wasn't a parent then. So my angle wasn't affordability. That came out as a byproduct of discussion later. It was my understanding that I sat in a preschool classroom and I taught 4-year-olds in a child development center, and I saw the growth that students have within those years, and the opportunities that can lend itself to being really kindergarten ready. And so in that multi-hour, 6-hour hearing in 2015, we brought in experts from public safety to kindergarten teachers to parents, talking across the board how critically important early education is. And I often joke, I don't think there's one stock that we can invest in that will guarantee you the kind of ROI that making the investment in early childhood. For every dollar that we put in, there's data point sets that say the return on the investment is anywhere from $9 to $13, and that's incredible. And so what this framework does for the state of New Jersey is really just cement the concept of universal preschool in a way that is intended to roll out as many of us thought it would. We want to be sure that we're getting into communities that are prepared to roll out full day preschool programs. We want to be sure that when they are opening up these programs, that it's getting to the families who need it the most before there's 100% rollout, because that's critically important. A house who's resourced, we understand that the cost is still incredibly high. It costs more than actual annual tuition at a Rutgers State University, for instance. But making sure that we get to underserved households first before we get to 100% matrix across the board.
Okay, so let me break it down, because one of the bills, it says that it sets the state firmly on course to provide free full-day kindergarten for all New Jersey families by 2030 by requiring each elementary serving school district in the state to establish a full-day kindergarten program no later than the beginning of 2029-2030. Is that for everybody in that?
That is a second component. When you read that, that is just for the kindergarten piece. So interestingly enough, in New Jersey, we have over 600 school districts.
Yeah.
And not every single school district was offering a full day kindergarten. And
Right.
so when we talk about expanding universal preschool, you can't have a full day preschool program and then have that family structure used to that and then pivot to a half day kindergarten program where only a parent who has the ability to have someone pick up their child or to pick them up themselves. It creates huge disruption, both
Or
for
no kindergarten.
a career practicing household or for just common sense, approach. So that speaks specifically to kindergarten. And quite frankly, we only have up to 10 districts, the number might be smaller, that are not currently providing full day kindergarten. But for the rollout for universal preschool, it's hard to determine when we'll get to that fundamental last point because it's a combination and a partnership with districts. When districts are ready, they'll get onboarded and go and start providing that for their families in the communities. The best demographic that or data set that I can give you is that during the Murphy administration, this program has grown to 350%, capturing more students in 3 and 4 year old slots that were never afforded that opportunity.
Okay. But let me understand something.
Go ahead.
Is this for everybody, right? So for the universal preschool and even the kindergarten, right? If you live in a district, you're guaranteed a seat?
This is the goal. So certain districts currently have full day preschool programs rolled out for 100% of their community. Mm-hmm. And that is for everybody, and it functions as part of the public school setting.
Yeah, but for example, I live in a district that's not the case.
Right, because they haven't started rolling out or growing their program.
Gotcha, okay.
So it's the grants are up now. If the district is ready and prepared, they can start applying and growing it. Some towns started very small. Some towns will do it via lottery. Some towns will do a very highly focused special ed program so that they can roll out. The key here is growth of this program is not as easy as it sounds either. Yeah. The workforce is critically important to this, and this is a space where we are losing volumes of individuals committing themselves into a classroom, whether you're a paraprofessional and or a teacher, because the workforce is competitive and offering people so much more money post-COVID. Yeah. And so we have to grow our workforce. We have to grow our teacher work base. We have to be sure that facilities are available. And the EDA does have a program in place for a municipality like yours, that if in fact infrastructure becomes part of the problem, that they can grow out their space and do it in a responsible way. You can't just roll out a district program and provide 100% seating for everybody. It has to be done responsibly. Okay, and so what you're saying is there's no hard line on a rollout date. There isn't. Right, and it's predominantly district driven, and so the state is there to partner, to resource, and to roll out. And so I will tell you this: the fact that in 8 years that the program has grown 350% is only indication that now that with this tranche of money that's in, and the expectations that soon towns that have not had offered a free preschool programming will at least begin to roll out one series in their game plan for whatever their blueprint will be for the district.
Okay, keep us posted. We're out of time here, but keep us posted because I know it's just the first step, but you were working hard on this for 10 years. So it's great to see that it's coming to fruition now. Keep us posted on the rollout, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And a thank you again to State Senator Teresa Ruiz. We're going to stay on top of this story every step of the way. It's so important for so many families out there, the early childhood component and the financial strain it puts on so many families. So as the rollout continues, we will follow it. But in the meantime, that'll do it for us today on Pop Daily. We'll see you next time.